He is always a threat to win here. He has before.
That's right. As the cars get push started, no starters on these brutes. Mostly big block Chevrolets. A few small blocks punched out to about 380 inches. Joe Guzik from back east. He runs the Oswego Speedway back east. Very hotbed of super modified competition back there. But these West Coast cars are really beautifully turned out. Wally Pankratz, we saw him run. Mike Bliss, we just saw him run second in the Silver Crown cars. Just ran across pit road here, jumped on into one of these things. Going to be an interesting transition for him. We got some other guys that have run as well. Jimmy Sills is in this field, also ran, of course, in the Silver Crown automobiles. So we're going to see 25 hard laps with these green out, and here they come. Davey Hamilton in the 14th jumps into the lead, right by 8 Ken Nichols. Rebel Jackson in 3rd, Jeff Helton in the 4th spot.
And if you just tuned in, no, the motors are not falling out of these cars. That's the way they're built. It's an interesting camera angle.
Yeah, we got a little smoke coming out of the leader's car already. Davey Hamilton, as he comes off turn number 4, knocking on 150 mile an hour laps with these race cars. Great show. Here comes Hamilton. Right behind him, Ken Nichols, who started on the pole. But Davey Hamilton, one of the finest in this business, a real comer. Dad raced these cars, and he really knows his way around super modified circuits, leading this race, having won here before. Let's hope that haze is just a little bit of blow-by out of the fuel tank, Steve.
Absolutely. As hard as these cars are stuck with all of that offset and the big wing, a little oil on the tires, or worse yet, a little oil on the racetrack, and you blast that car into the wall before you can do anything about it. If there's a disadvantage to these kind of cars that run so hooked up, that's it.
That's right. You don't want to try to correct a whole lot if you get them sideways, because with all that offset on the left side of the chassis, they want to go straight and they want to turn left, but they do not want to turn right.
No, and somebody said it can be even difficult to hold them in a straight line, let alone they want to turn left all the time. Even sitting still once in a while, they'll try to make a U-turn on you.
There's Davey Hamilton extending his lead here already. Oh, we got problems here in the dogleg.
Car number 19, Don Stevens, who started last, is spun, and oh, now trying to avoid him. It has gotten far more complicated. Number 78, Jeff Helton, 77, Jim Brown, and Rebel Jackson Jr., the 6W. That's 1 and 2.
He got, as I said, a restart without losing a lap under that caution. So Jackson right up on, moving up on Davey Hamilton. I'll tell you what, Steve, Hamilton's going to be tough to pass. He knows his way around this racetrack. He runs midgets here. He's run these super modifieds a long time, and he is really experienced with these cars.
All right, here side by side is the race for the 8th position. Coming on strong on the low side is the 3U car of Gene Lee Gibson, getting around Art Cervantes, the 28th car. So Gibson is in 8th. Cervantes trying to attack back on the outside. Uh-oh, let's not try there.
Oh, boy. Yeah, these are big, wide race cars. Hard to believe, Steve. You know, they run some quarter-mile races on the West Coast with these machines, and they get down around 10 or 11-second lap times. Unbelievable.
You get dizzy. Davey Hamilton, the 14 car, nobody else in the picture with him. He has pretty much lost the pack. Still that little spray of alcohol, but you heard his crew chief say it was no problem.
Oh, as back here in the field, they're beginning to kind of move through some slower traffic. Davey Hamilton navigated it well. Rebel Jackson behind him, moving through as well. So Hamilton holding on to that lead. There's an upright Silver Crown car out there without a wing. He is way off the pace. You just can't run with these cars without a wing. That is Joe Guzik passing the 5D of Scott Blackman for 5th place. Guzik was up in 5th, fell back, and they're having a good deal with those two guys.
You know, this track is relatively flat, but imagine putting these cars on a big banked 1 mile oval, say Rockingham or Dover. I bet you wouldn't even have to turn the wheel.
And you'd run probably about 380 miles an hour. I mean, these cars are really quick. But right now, it's Davey Hamilton, and look at this. Jackson has started to narrow the distance a little bit. He's starting to slowly nip away at that advantage that Davey Hamilton had. As they come down that front straightaway, Hamilton is probably starting to feel some pressure.
Oh, I think he is indeed. Obviously, these two cars have hit the, and I hate to use the most overused phrase in motorsports, the setup, because they're obviously far superior to anybody else in the racetrack.
No doubt about it. As Davey Hamilton now, well, they've got maybe got a pit signal or just felt. Race drivers can feel that kind of movement and vibration of another car relatively near them, and he just may be responding now with just a little bit more methanol poured through these motors, and here comes Hamilton. Boy, look at those offsets. 70-30, 70% of the weight on the left side of these race cars.
Saw a little wiggle on the Jackson car. Meanwhile, back in the pack, let's pick up some real action. 5D, Scott Backman, 73, Paul Durant, 28, Art Cervantes. All those three cars right there. Oh, man, looks like a dogfight for the 6th spot.
Oh, here they come. That is the 73 of Paul Durant. Remember, Durant held the pole position here last year and ran really well. And as he said earlier before the race, missed the setup in qualifying and is now trying to work his way back up through the pack.
No, I would imagine that these cars exert a pretty good force on the driver as hard as they're stuck, especially on higher banks. But even here, you're probably a little sore in that harness when you get out of these things.
Oh, I would imagine. They're really, really pull some G's, I would imagine, in the corner here. As your leader, that is Davey Hamilton in the 14 car, holding off the 6W, Rebel Jackson, and Ken Nichols in the 8. He started, remember, on the pole, and he still sits back in 3rd place. Ken apparently not quite able to stay up with the 2 leaders, though, at this point.
And this is a 25-lap race, remember. Yellow flags do not count. It's a very short race, the kind of lap times they run here on this mile at these speeds. So you don't have a chance to really catch up. You've got to stay with the front runners all the time.
Well, there's Davey Hamilton still showing a little fuel vapor as he has for the entire race, but there's some smoke. That's out of 42. Dave Adamson, he has hurt a motor, no doubt about that. Will we see a caution? We'll be right back.
The track is clean and the racing is green here in Phoenix, Arizona, as the super modifieds continue. And there is a problem with the leader, Davey Hamilton, the 14 car, and Brock Yates. I believe he's got a tire going down. Yep, absolutely.
The left rear going away on Davey. You can see it going soft on him. He's obviously just worn that tire out, and he will probably head for the pits. No matter what, he's not going to be able to hold off Rebel Jackson. Tough break for the former winner here. He's going to try to guts it out for a while, it looks like, possibly hoping that he can somehow just bluff Rebel Jackson up, but there's no way. He's slowing down now, going into the pits. There is your new leader, Rebel Jackson, in the 6W, just flying away. He is virtually unopposed now, as very disconsolate Davey Hamilton will head for the pits, and they're going to try to put a new tire on this thing, but he's certainly way out of contention. And
the confidence that Rebel Jackson Sr. Showed in this automobile, I think he's going to be awfully hard to catch, if not impossible. What a horrible break for Davey Hamilton. And the left rear tire doesn't take nearly the abuse of the right rear. If the right rear went down, you'd say, well, you know, just that's really tough racing. But he might have picked up a little debris or something happened to puncture that tire.
This is also a difficult situation. These cars are not designed for rapid pit stops, not like an Indy car and NASCAR car. And the crews are not really trained to do this sort of thing. So this is going to just eat up lap after lap. And really tough break for a fine young man and an excellent race driver.
Well, he was well on his way to a repeat victory here in Phoenix. He's the defending champion, but right now all he wants is some new rubber. We can get out there and try to save a little face.
So he and the crew were just kind of inert in the pits right now, as this man, Rebel Jackson, continues to sweep around this racetrack, apparently on his way to a relatively uncontested victory here at the Copper Classic.
Yep, Rebel Jackson, it's his to lose now. He can't make any mistakes. He's got to avoid any problems on the racetrack, pitfalls, like maybe hit Davey Hamilton, a little header bolt or something on the track, puncturing a tire, and he goes right around what is really kind of an old sprint car. You know, it pays pretty good money for dead last. I guess that's why you enter something like that.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. I'm sure the guys brought it in here to collect a part of a big purse here at Phoenix. But no way you can contest against a race car like Jackson's. And now let's go down to Glenn Jarrett in the Davey Hamilton pit.
You're looking at the culprit that lost Davey Hamilton his chance at a 3rd victory in the Copper Classic here today in the Super Modifieds. This tire is severely blistered. USAC forced him to come in and change the tire, even though it was not flat. USAC made the decision he had to come in, cost Davey Hamilton any chance at victory here today.
Well, a mighty wise decision on the part of USAC, I would have to say. The way that tire was smoking, it was not long for this world. You have a blowout and a car into the wall, maybe collect a couple of others. Oh, no, that was certainly the thing to do. Meanwhile, back in the pack, the battle for 3rd, it's 4 Mike Swanson, the blue and yellow car, and 73 Paul Durant in the red car. And Durant appears to be making a little progress here. In fact, charging right up on the 3rd place runner.
You know, these cars really put on a good show, Steve. When you think that all of them are basically home built. I mean, they're built by craftsmen in small shops in Southern California and around the United States. And they are running lap speeds that would put them mid or rear of the pack in a kart race. And the fact that they are so competitive and so fast based on really home-built technology is a real testimony to the ingenuity of so many people in automobile racing.
And super modified is really a misnomer for these automobiles. It was correct at one time, but they have evolved to the point now that there's nothing modified about them. They are creations unto themselves as opposed to something else that's been adapted to racing.
Yeah, right. They sort of started out way a long time ago as kind of single-seat stock cars, open wheel, but now they really, as you say, evolved into pure racing machines. They just happen to have a stock-based engine in them, but that's the only thing that relates even to anything that you'd find on a highway.
And there is still that race for the third position between the number 4 car, Mike Swanson, and 73, Paul Durant. Durant closes up a bit, and then Swanson says, oh, there he is, and steps on the gas a little harder.
And he steps on the gas in a monster motor. It actually steps on the methanol. These cars run on pure methanol. They're aluminum blocks, many of the big blocks. As you said, generating near 1,000 horsepower in some cases. And I'll tell you what, they are real man's automobiles.
All right, that's the interval back to 1C Joe Gosick and 32 Chuck Gurney for the 5th position. Those two guys are having a pretty good car race all to themselves.
Look at the car up front here. A little, not as much offset on that automobile, although it's got a real wide body on it. But you can see, almost looks like an old Lightning Indy car, doesn't it, with a big wing on it. But the front engine, of course. Interesting looking automobile.
I got a feeling these things would be awfully fun to drive. I think some might be tempted to just make one lap all by myself in, you know what I mean?
That'd get your attention, I'll guarantee you, when you open the wick. And this, trouble in the dog leg.
That is car number 46, Bob Beck. He started 21st. He's now down there on the grass, and I think that big poof we saw was, he may have been having some overheating problems and the radiator let go or a hose let go, something of that nature. I don't believe that was oil. And the green is out, no yellow, so there's obviously no oil or parts on the racetrack.
Yep, and it looks like Bob is okay, so no problems there other than a disappointing finish for him this afternoon.
Okay, and steaming his way around the racetrack right now is our leader. There you see him. Rebel Jackson, the 6W car, and he is only about 2 laps away from seeing that white flag signifying 1 more mile to victory.
As he comes down the front straightaway, probably around 160 miles an hour, and sweeping down into turn number 1, as we said, unopposed, started 3rd in the field. Good qualifying lap, and Rebel got by Davey Hamilton after Davey lost the left rear tire, and so after that, virtually unopposed.
Well, well set up race car, beautifully driven, of course, but it takes a little racing luck to win in this league, and his big benefactor had to be that 14 car of Davey Hamilton at a pretty good lead when that tire problem occurred.
Okay, Rebel Jackson off turn number 2, heading toward us through the dog leg, the fastest part of the racetrack, down into turn number 3. Sweeping down through there, off turn 4, headed for the checkered flag, and victory here in 25 laps, a super modified competition at the Copper Classic.
Rebel Jackson, as he waves with his right hand, he darn near lost control of the automobile. He now has 2 hands on the steering wheel. He'll wait a few minutes before the celebration begins. Rebel Jackson Jr. has won it here at the United States Auto Club Super Modified Competition. All in all, a great day. Filing out of Phoenix International Raceway. A lot of them will be headed down to the pit area to get some autographs and talk to the stars like Rebel Jackson Jr., who won the Super Modifieds, Ken Nichols, Paul Durant, Mike Swanson, good old Chuck Gurney, always a strong runner here, finished in the 5th position. Grabbing the 6th spot in the 28 car, Art Savannah. Greg Lopman took his 55 car to the 7th spot. Scott Backman in 8th. Kenny Hamilton in 9th. Joe Gosick in the 10th position. Well, a happy young guy. Glad he came all the way from Seattle, Washington. Seattle must be South Seattle. Rebel Jackson.
Rebel Jackson Jr., congratulations on a great win.
Thank you.
Looked like a little hairy going in early there when you got some oil on your tires.
Yeah, it was a little slick at first, and I was just being conservative, and then I saw Davey's tire starting to come apart, so I quit pressing it and just hung with him. I knew it was only a matter of time when I was getting hit with rubber.
Well, you got a brand new car by Ed Hyder here, a great way to christen it.
Hey, Ed Hyder, I want to say special thanks to Security Race Products, Machinist Union, Hope Lodge, Local 79, and Ed Hyder and my father.
What a way to start the year, huh, for a victory in the Great Copper Classic.
That's it. We're happy. Thanks.